Hello, everyone. I'm Mike Kenichi. Welcome to another edition of In the Spotlight. And I'm really excited today because we have a guest who has done a lot in her career. And, a couple of my good friends, they've been in her films. She's the owner of Cain Casting and Talent Management, as well as Candy Cain Travel. And she is a credit to the industry. We're going to talk all about that. It is my pleasure to introduce to you Miss Candice Cain. And Candice, thank you for coming on today. It's a real honor for me.
No problem. Thank you very much for having me. I will say you forgot the biggest company, which is Gemelli Films
Oh,
Incorporated.
yes. Yeah. Yeah. So, Candice, first thing I wanted to ask you, only a couple months separates us in age. And I was thinking about this, being a young kid that grew up in the 80s, watching so many different TV series, Growing Pains, Different Strokes, Silver Spoons, Facts of Life. I mean, did the love begin for like getting involved with entertainment based on being a kid and watching all the different shows and films?
No, actually, it started when I was much younger. When I was, I started acting when I was 7, believe it or not. And when my father he was an actor, and I don't know if you're still there.
I'm there. Yeah. I just put
Okay,
you.
sorry. I was like, you
Yeah.
disappeared. All right, sorry. So
Yeah.
my father was an actor, and when I was like 5, he was doing a dinner theater or something, and I went to see him, and he was doing a funny thing happened on the way to the forum, and I believe his character was Pseudolus, and there's this part where I don't even remember the name of the guy, but the bad guy right before the intermission, pulls out his sword and holds it to Pseudolus's throat and says, "What do you have to say for yourself?" or something like that. And he's like, "I have one more request, the intermission." That's the line, like, and that breaks the intermission. And the guy, the actor, pulled out the sword and held it to my dad's throat while I was in the audience. And I jumped up on my seat and yelled, "Don't you hurt my daddy." And everybody laughed and they called intermission. I ruined the end of it. The characters on stage broke and everybody laughed or whatever. And during intermission, I was so upset. I thought my dad was going to be stabbed. He brought me behind, like, where the actors were getting ready. So I guess you'd call it behind stage, but it was a dinner theater. So I don't remember where it was, but I remember going behind stage and all of the actors came over to me and talk to me like themselves. And it was then that I realized that this is storytelling. And I was 5 years old, and it was really cool. Just seeing that. And then my dad left my family when I was 7. And I haven't talked to him in like 23 years. So he's not a part of my life at all. But that always stayed there. And then when I was 9 in the GATE program enrichment with Mrs. Steiner at Brookhaven Elementary School, I wrote my very first script, my first movie script, and we filmed it on like a video, like a old VHS tape. So that's 9. How old was I? Or what year was that? That was like 84.
1985.
Yeah. So, and we're filming and whatever, and we got to make a movie. But I mean, obviously it was like just a VHS recorder.
Right. And Candice, I think it's really cool too that you could remember something like that and remember the teacher. And I know she would definitely appreciate it, hearing that, because I mean, it just goes to show that no matter how successful you become, you still remember things from your childhood that stand out to you. And it was something like that at 9 years old with Mrs. Steiner. And I mean, that's really like the little things. Sometimes the little things matter more than the big things.
For sure, absolutely. And it was neat. Like, I remember it very, very distinctly. And I know that there is a video of that floating around somewhere. I think Sean White, who was one of the kids in the class, I'm pretty sure they've got the video, like his family, just somewhere in a basement or an attic or something.
Yeah, and that'd be really cool to see that. It really would. Candice, I talked to you a little bit in the opening about the different shows that were on TV and stuff like that. I mean, the 80s really took off as far as television went. I mean, it just exploded. So, and especially the way music was implemented into TV, that played a big part. As somebody who does what you do now, I mean, just explain to me how important music is to a film, to a show, because that really kind of captures all the moments with the right type of music.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, especially when you're talking about like a frightening movie, a thriller, a horror, whatever, just seeing it, like if you're seeing a jump scare, it's not as scary if you hear like, discord on a violin or just like a powerful music sound. It makes you jump more, makes your heart race a little bit more. Music is so important. When I first started making movies, it was super important to me to give a leg up to independent musicians. It still is, honestly. I use like Corey Lee Barker, Kenny Myers. They do music, and I'll use their songs for my end credits. And sometimes I love doing those montages that we're so familiar with those rom-coms that we were all used to in our early 20s and late teens. But music brings in another sense, and it just subconsciously, it just makes your just feelings like heart, adrenaline, whatever go, because you're hearing this maybe even in the background, but subconsciously it's picking up on everything. I usually work with John Sepulveda as my composer, he's incredible. I just worked with a new guy named Lorenzo Barcella, and Gautier Abadi is currently scoring for me. So music is super important. If you watch something without music, it doesn't have the same effect.
No, definitely not. I mean, like I said, it really captures everything. Let me ask you this, Candice. Your name, there's a great story behind it. And one of my favorite actors as a kid was Candice Bergman, who, of course, was Murphy Brown, the famous news station reporter, things like that. How did that all come about? Did your parents know Candice well?
No, they didn't know her. So I was supposed to be a boy, like in the ultra.
Yeah. Right. Okay. I think I lost her for a second. Let's see if we could get her back.
I popped and I was a girl. And I know that my father was very disappointed. And my mother wanted to call me Amity. And my father was like, no, absolutely not. We live by Amityville. Like it's about, 40 minutes away from us. And my father's like, that's the Amityville horror. There's no way she's being Amity, which is a true story.
Right.
So he's like, I'm not naming her Amity. So my mother's like, well, my grandfather's name was Charles, my mom's father. And my mom said, I want to name her a name with a C after my grandfather. So my father was a huge fan of Candice Bergen, and lo and behold, they named me Candice.
Wow, that's pretty cool. I mean, I know she would love to hear that, but just a tremendous show. And I mean, if you're going to be named after somebody, that's a pretty good person to be named after.
Yeah,
for sure.
I mean, she was a lot younger. Murphy Brown hadn't come out yet. I'm going to be 50 in September. So yeah, I'd love to meet Candice Bergen and be like, hi, I was named after you. So it's pretty cool.
So let me ask you, Candice, I know like you've also had like a love for theater and stuff like that. Did you do any of that in high school? Like any drama?
I started, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I started way, way before then. Like when I was young, like I said, 7, that was Annie. But I worked at the Gateway Playhouse. I did, theater there when I was younger. I did it all through high school. I did local playcrafters. I did college. After college, I did Airport Playhouse, Bayway. I did a lot. So I've actually performed in 36 stage productions. And I'm only 50. So, and I stopped acting when I was 31 to have my kids. So, that's a lot of theater. I did a ton. I also wrote stage plays. I'm a published playwright. I've got 3 plays written for children. 4. four published plays through it's not Baker's anymore, and it's not Samuel French. Concord Theatricals.
Right.
Yeah, so I'm with Concord Theatricals, and two of my films are based on scripts that I wrote when I was in college.
Oh, wow. Yeah, and speaking of which, Candice, George Washington University Theater Program, which you went to in 1998, I believe you graduated. So just talk about that experience, because a lot of people, especially who have aspirations in theater, acting, and they go there, and it's a wonderful university with a great theater program. So just talk about the experience there.
Well, there were three of us that graduated that you would know names of: me, Candice Cain, Candy Cain. I was the director. Then you've got Hillary Winston, who is an incredible writer, and she's won Emmys, I believe, for Community. My Name is Earl. I know she wrote Bad Guys, or was like one of the writers on that. And then, of course, so she was like known as the writer. And then you've got Kerry Washington, the actress. So we were all in classes together. Kerry and I actually split a role, Mother Courage and Her Children, I believe our sophomore year. So we grew up in class of 98. There were only 11 students that graduated from the TRDA, Theater and Dance program, when I was a senior. So I named three of us already. I actually went into college for political communications, and then I changed my major 7 times, and I ended up graduating with a degree in dramatic literature, minors in English theater and creative writing. And it was amazing. There was an improv theater company called Recess. I was not a part of it, but I watched it, and I've auditioned for them. I didn't get in, but they were awesome. What else? Like, I was able to write and mount my productions at the different theaters that they had. We did the Black Box Downstage Lisner Theater. We did the Creative and Performing Arts in Mitchell Hall, that theater. It was awesome. It was really, really awesome. And so I was able to mount 2 plays that I wrote, 2 rom-coms. I did one at the beginning of my sophomore year and the beginning of my junior year, I think, or the end of my sophomore year. But anyway, I was able to do that. So that was very cool. And then I did my senior thesis, which I wrote, but I did not direct. I starred in it, and it was written by Anonymous. And then it was just part of my senior thesis. And we got to do that one as well. So it was just amazing. You have the Kennedy Center right there. You have so many different internship opportunities. DC is a wonderful place to go to school. What's really, really cool is that my twins, Charles and Catherine, are going to the Catholic University of America in Washington, D.C., starting in the fall. So they get to have the same experience that I get. So I'm really thrilled about that.
That's really cool. It really is. And Candice, I was thinking about this as well. At the time when you were going to George Washington and graduate in, like I said, 98, the internet had just kind of come out. 94 it came out. And again, it's taken off like we couldn't believe it. But back then, I mean, it was fairly new. But one of the things about the internet, and I think was probably helpful to you and so many other writers, is it was a new tool to try to research, where the old days you had to go to a library and, look up stuff on the microfilm and things like that. So, I mean, the internet really came at a time when you were trying to aspire to do this.
I never did research on the internet. In 1994, that's the year I graduated high school, Bellport High School. I was a member of one of the first bulletin board systems. Now, if you remember, before we had the web, and we hadn't gotten the web yet. Before we got the web, we had bulletin board systems, and I was known as Miss Candy on Nobody's Business, this bulletin board system. So any of you that were on, it was like with a K, so Nobody's Business, because Mr. Knodel ran it. But hi, I'm Miss Candy. But I ran the form, of I think it was an entertainment form or a movie form or something like that. But it was really cool. When I got to college, I think we were like the first people to have our own emails, like the .edu emails, or maybe we were like the second class to have that. But we didn't have pictures and stuff on the internet yet. I didn't have a laptop. I mean, the laptops I don't think were
They may not have been
really
out yet.
a
Yeah.
thing yet. We
Yeah.
had like a couple of
AOL. Yeah.
yeah, AOL was one,
Hotmail. Yeah.
but it was basic. It wasn't even AIM. It was AOL, and it was like all pixelated, but we genuinely didn't have pictures. Didn't AOL come out in like 96?
Somewhere around there, yeah.
Yeah, so I was already in college, so I wasn't able to do research or anything like that the way that we can now. And I don't ever remember doing research for my writing. I genuinely, if I had Stacy Wolf's art history class and I had to do a project, I had to go to Gelman Library and do my project and like actually do books and research. Right. And spend $600 or whatever it was per year on textbooks and just go into the bookstore. And everybody has it on iPads now. Like I don't have one near me, but my kids are in school. You get signed out an iPad your freshman year, and now you could use it. God, I sound old.
Absolutely. So Candice, everybody has to get their foot in the door. They have to kind of get that first real taste of the business when they're doing it. How did that happen for you? I mean, where did it first start? I mean, was it something small as working with like a production team behind the scenes? How did it all come about for you?
So, I mean, I guess I'm so different, like from a lot of people, because I did start in theater, and I went down to Florida, and because my father lived there, and like I said, he had left, and this is one of the times when I actually saw him. I got picked out of the crowd to be on the Mickey Mouse Club. So I was on the Mickey Mouse Club. Yeah. So I was really good at like talking to the camera, and I had also modeled. So I modeled for JCPenney, Macy's. I did a lot of catwalks. I did a couple of commercials. So I also did pageants. I was like Miss Metro New York Hospitality in 1991 or whatever. So all of that, I've always been kind of natural in front of the camera. And in 2000, at the end of 2000, unfortunately, my aunt was killed in a car wreck, and I was very close with her. I was living in Alaska, and I came home to help with her kids, and I just got in the way. I tried to help, and it was just, it was too much. And she was only 39. She was my mother's little sister. She was my godmother. And my mom said to me, listen, you gotta go out to California and try to follow your dreams because life's too short. So that was in 2001, January 2001. And I found a job working as a production assistant on The Sweetest Thing. It was a movie with, I know Christina Applegate was in it. On my flight, literally, I had 2 suitcases and $200, and I was going to start like 3 days after I got there. I was staying at my aunt's friend's house, and I land, and I see the news, like, they have E-News or whatever it was, and there's a story about Christina Applegate, how she fell off a swing or something and broke her wrist. And I find out that it's completely pushed 6 weeks. So I'm like, oh my God, I got to find a job. So I went to Central Casting on Flower Avenue in Burbank the next day, and I signed up to be an extra background. And I was doing background, and I worked on a movie called Not Another Teen Movie. And the director, Joel Gallen, picked me out of all these people, and we had this conversation, and he asked me if I would do this. It was to be the butt of a joke and something that actually got scrapped from the movie. And he was so kind. But I ended up getting in there, and he was wonderful. And I got into the union because of him pulling me up. And then I just started doing background work, and then I'd start getting featured roles, and I started getting cast. So you gotta, nothing's beneath you if you're trying to become an actor.
Right. And the thing about it too, Candice, is you have to take advantage of whatever role they're offering you. You can't, it's not like where somebody goes and applies for a company and it's not a good fit for them. You get these opportunities and act and whatever it is, you have to take advantage of it, even if you have to do commercials for a while,
Absolutely. Even if you
because
have to act for free,
yeah.
you know, like
So, I
student
mean,
films, and you got to get your reel done. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
that's okay. And the
But
thing that people forget too is everybody thinks right away they're making big money. Well, sometimes you're not making anything, but you still have to seize the moment and go for it, because it's a competitive business. And if you're not going to take the opportunity, then somebody's going to do it instead. So you have to really, again, go out, even if it's not a role you're crazy about, you still have to do it.
not only that, if you think of actors, they pay so much for their tools. Headshots, so
Yeah.
expensive. Sometimes, like, there are studios and whatever that offer reels, and you have to pay for casting companies, and maybe you'll get an agent, maybe you won't. Nobody knows what's going on, and sometimes you have to create your own opportunities. So something that I've done is, because I was tired of asking for permission, which is why I made my first movie. I made my first movie, What Happened Last Night, in 2015 at the Cannes Film Festival in 2016. It was picked up by Sony Home Entertainment. Not only that, we were on the short list out of 91 songs and you were talking about music before, out of 91 original songs, 5 were from What Happened Last Night on the short list for the Oscars. We didn't, obviously we didn't get nominated, but it was really cool that Variety did a story on us because of that. It was like this micro budget project coming out. So I have been creating opportunities for actors to invest in a role, and then they get to work with me and make an actual film that has guaranteed distribution. They make their money back, and then they make a percentage, and they get their clips, they get their photos, and it's less than what they would usually spend in that. Because like right now, it's the rise of the indies, and this is a way to get a bigger rise from actors that just don't have they're not given the opportunities from these big companies. You got to get your name out there. You got to be in a distributed film. You have to get your clips. You have to do something professional. And this is a way that I've been able to put it together to offer to actors.
Exactly. And you talked about when you moved to Alaska. Well, there was something very neat that you started at the University of Alaska. So talk about that a little bit, because that's a great project that you've come up with.
Yeah, and it lasted all the way till COVID, believe it or not. So I started the first improvisational acting troupe in Anchorage, Alaska. And we started it at the University of Alaska, where I was a grad student. And they kept going after I left for my family. And then it went from there into a small, like cabaret style theater. And it went all the way up until COVID. And then it got shut down in COVID. That's 20 years. So that was really cool.
Right, exactly. And I really think like it's something that so many students had a great opportunity to take advantage of. And that's the thing too, Candice, you're not just getting into the business and doing what you love, but you're also giving back. And I think that's important as well, because you know what it was like to go through the struggle, and you want to be able to help people, aspiring actors, directors, writers, whatever it may be, to give them opportunity like you had, because you understand how difficult it was.
And I also had a very supportive mother. Like my mom, Juliet, she's just so supportive. I mean, she was an art teacher in the South Country School District. And not only that, she works for me now as my production designer, and sometimes she does catering. And it's just so important to have that support system. When I was applying to colleges, my guidance counselor told me the only thing I would ever amount to was an actress. And I just didn't have that support. And sometimes it's so political about who gets what roles, especially when you're in high school. So that's why I created the Gemelli Films Performing Arts Scholarship at St. Anthony's High School, where my children go. And we had an event last week. We raised $1,171, and then somebody made an anonymous donation and matched it. So I've got $2,242 that's being donated to the 3 actors or 3 kids that were performers and 1 member of the stage crew, because, you know, schools give out awards for scholarships, scholarships for sports and scholarships for like academics, but the arts like always ends up taking a back seat. And so we have this inaugural scholarship award coming in September.
And I would say that has to be rewarding as well, because
Very.
you know that you're making a difference and you're helping, like I said, aspiring student who wants to be an actor, wants to do something. You're giving them that, like I said, opportunity. So that has to really be something that you feel like you've given back to your community, things like that.
I know I have. In 2019, I was named Woman of the Year in Arts and Media for my town, Brookhaven Township. And then in 22 and 24, I was named a Power Woman of the Year for the East End. So I really like putting money back into my community. I know we've put about $3 million since 2015 into the town of Brookhaven. And I know that we've put like $1 million into the town of Huntington on Long Island. So, you know, when we book housing, usually we don't do like the big Marriott or chain brands or anything like that. We'll do an Airbnb or a local mom and pop type of inn or bed and breakfast or whatever. So we also did a movie in Evergreen, Colorado. We've done Lake Placid. With the Lake Placid projects, we probably put, sorry, I'm like doing the math, at least $500,000 into the Lake Placid community economy up there. And then probably 200 into Evergreen. We also did a movie in Morton, Illinois, and then I did a series in Morton, Illinois. So I like keeping things local.
Right. No doubt about it. And so talk to me a little bit about, you are the founder and owner of Cain Talent and Talent Management. And one of the things I thought about, Candice, is, wow, it's great to be able to do all that, but at the same time, you're responsible for everything. When it has your name on there, you're responsible for everything, how everything's going. So, I mean, I'm sure there comes some stress along the way when you're putting a movie together, a film together, things like that, because so much goes into it. You got to get the actors, you got to get the writers, the directors, the food props, you know, there's so many things that go into it. I mean, so I'm sure there's a part of you when you're producing, directing, whatever it may be, while you have fun with it and you have a great time, there's also a part of you that you have to be tough sometimes too, because there's no margin for error. And when it comes to like a budget and costs and things like that, every second counts. So, I mean, you probably have to be a little tough at times as well, correct?
I mean, yes, I'm tough. I'm very tough. There's a different person, me on set, than me outside a set. Like we'll have a tough day, but if we finish early, I'll take everybody to hibachi and everybody chills out. You know what I mean? So something that I pride myself in is that I don't micromanage. I will hire people that will, example, casting. Yes, I owned Cain Casting. I still own Cain Casting and Talent Management. But when COVID hit, for 2 years following COVID, you had to be vaccinated, or otherwise you couldn't work on the SAG thing. You couldn't be in blah, 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 all these different things. And honestly, I really don't do much casting with the people that we call them Cainiacs, that were part of Cain Casting anymore, because of all of the requirements that hit everybody. I'll get calls from people that are casting directors saying, hey, it was mainly kids. Do you have any kids? But I haven't taken on kids in a long time. So they're all grown now, or like late teenagers. But I work with a wonderful casting director named Donna McKenna. So right. I'll give Donna the list of actors that I want, and I'll give her suggestions. And if you look at what I've done, oftentimes I go back to people that I've worked with in the past, like Adam Huss, Jason Frederick. I love those guys. They're like my brothers, Carly Bonder. She's been with me. She's been in a ton of my stuff. Maggie Alexander is another one. I love working with people over and over again. I've got a movie coming up that we're shooting. Cara Maria Sorbello. She's like a great friend of mine, and she's been in several of my movies. She's going to be starring in this next one coming up, Squatters' Rights. And so is Jenna Gilmer, who I worked with before. So, we have those. So, but I'll reach out to Donna and I'll be like, hey, here's the script. Donna looks through the script. I give her the character breakdown and she lists it. And Donna does her job. And I trust her to do that job. When you're talking about props, my mom, Juliet Murata, is usually production designer. She has an assistant, Alyssa Huss. They work together and they break down the props that I need. Kevin Yee, I love using him as my director of photography. So he'll do his shot list. So while, yes, being at the top, there's a lot for me to do. It's very easy when I have people that I trust to run their department, that they know what they're doing. I mean, I know all the different departments because I've worked them. But just because I've worked them before doesn't mean I have to work them now. I just have to make sure that everybody is on the same page. Plus, my first assistant director is named James Evans. And I let him be tougher than me. He's like, we got to go now. We have to get on schedule. I mean, he's great just to schedule everything. So it's not just me. I have an entire team that I really rely on to make sure that everything is getting done properly.
Right. And what I find fascinating, Candice, you and so many other producers, directors, writers, the movies that most of us watch sometimes are 90 minutes to 2.5 hours, sometimes 3. And it looks so simple when you watch it, but so much goes into it. It might take 6 months to make sometimes. So I just think that a lot of times the people behind the scenes, it's very important that people look at those credits and see all of the different things that they do, because the actors, no doubt about it, are wonderful. They're talented, but the people behind the scenes make the music. They make the magic. They make it work. And I think, like I've always said, that one of the things that kind of disappoints me sometimes with TV now is you try to look at the credits and they do it so fast. You can't even see the person's name. So what's the point to even put it there if you can't even see it? I always felt like people should always spend a couple more seconds watching the credits to see what these people do.
Exactly. And not only that, oftentimes background extras, they don't get credit. I do the best I can to make sure that every single extra, every single background artist gets a credit in my film. I make sure of it, so I can't do it on TV because the credits are so short, but I absolutely do it on my movies. And, you'll see, you can go on to, what's the movie we did? You can go into What Happened Last Night. That's our very first movie where you could look and it'll show you names like college student, and it lists everybody that were college students. And if they can't get credit at the end of my film, I'll put them on IMDb still so they can have that. Without them, it's not a setting. It's like a ghost town. You need people.
Absolutely. You really do. And you talk about actors. One of the actors that's been in maybe 2 or 3 of your films, I definitely think a couple, and she's a good friend of mine, and that's Karen Richmond. And she wanted me to say hello to you, and she just speaks very highly of you, loves you. But it's got to be a joy to work with somebody like that, because think about it. When you and I were kids, she was already acting in a bunch of things. The New Gidget, she was Greg Brady's wife in the Brady's. Yeah. So, I mean, that's got to be something that's cool, because you can learn from her as well, because she's been in the business forever.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. I love Karen. I love her so much. I know for sure she was, the first time I worked with her was in Christmas at the Interlochen, and she plays Holly's mom. So she's Carly Bonder's mother, and they look so much alike. Carly looks more like Karen than she does her own mother. So they got to do a fun scene. That movie's coming out this year. I know that for sure it's on Amazon Prime. So that's really cool. Yeah. Prime Video just picked it up last week. And then she played a much bigger role in a movie called Humbug the Elf. And she actually got to play a Jewish character. And she loved it, and she's like, I've never played a Jewish character in a Christmas movie. So that was a lot of fun. She's got such a great sense of humor, and her expressions are wonderful. I'd work with her anytime. I love her. I absolutely love her. And it's so cool to have somebody that you grew up watching work with you. you know, and just be a part of it. Patrick Muldoon, who I'm so sad. Oh, my heart, my heart. Pat was actually my first crush, like on television.
Saved by the
And
Bell.
oh my God, I loved him. But he came in and he worked with me on Magic in Mount Holly.
Yeah.
And oh my God, I loved him so much. And it was so cool because I just diarrhea of the mouth. And I told him, and he was like, oh, get over here. And he like came over, gave me a big kiss on the cheek and took a picture. And when I found out that he passed, I think Donna was the one who called me and told me that Pat had a heart attack. I was crushed, absolutely crushed.
Terrible. Yeah. Too young for sure.
Oh my God, 57, just
awful.
Devastating. So he was another guy that was just wonderful. His smile lit up the whole room. I'm getting like choked up. Sorry.
No problem at all. I totally understand. So let me ask you, Candice, you've done a little of everything. And I mean, you're an outstanding writer as well as director.
Thank you.
Do you have a preference? I mean, which one do you like more? And I look at the writing part. I mean, you really have to make people believe what you're writing. I mean, they have to be able to get it. And I always say this, you're only as good of an actor with what writing you have. So talk about like writing and directing and how fun that's been.
I love writing. I love writing. Comedy is my wheelhouse. You know, sometimes I'll give my mom something to read and I'll be in the other room and I'll hear her laughing out loud. I'm like, I'm thinking she's watching a video or something, not thinking that she jumped into anything. I was like, what? And she's like, oh my God, the boots or whatever. And it's a joke that I wrote. And it really makes me happy when people understand it, you know, where they catch things. I'll be on set and it's cool because I direct what I write. Although I'd love to have other people, you want to license my film? Sure. Your my script, take it and make your own movie. I'm happy to do that. But I'll be on set and I'll start seeing things and the physicality of some of these actors. I'll be like, can you just give a look? We just did a movie called Mistletoe Mansion. And there were 4 guys in this scene. And it was Brandon Pikolinsky, Landon Calhoun, Colin O'Neill, and John Kroner. And I've worked with Brandon and Landon before. So Brandon plays this really snooty guy and Landon plays this real down-to-earth cowboy. And there's just this funny part that goes on and somebody says he likes this, somebody says he likes this, somebody says he likes this, and then finally Landon goes, I like horses. And I said, Brandon, do me a favor. After she leaves, just look at him and go, horses. It is so funny. It's so funny. The reactions and seeing how chemistry works between people too, and seeing what they're able to do and play off each other. I'll be like, all right, guys, play this, hold this look, do that. And it's really fun because everybody starts laughing, you know? So to be able to not have to check with a writer to make sure it's okay that I do that, I'll take things and blow them up and make them funny. I love comedy.
Yeah, I mean, listen, so many of the films that you've done, I mean, they're so well done. I mean, they really are. And I just think about this, that you have to have passion for this. So you can't just go at half speed. You have to go full speed, which you always do. And you're so creative. And I mean, you do so many different things. And one of the things I mentioned when we opened up was Candy Cain Travel company that you're the owner of. And I mean, that's basically specializing in destination weddings, correct? So
not anymore. Do own Candy Cain Travel. Right now, like our thing is that we have one trip a year. So we're going away in January next year. We're going to Jamaica. If you want to go, shoot me a message. I'll tell you what the rates are. But when I was trying to get pregnant and I had 5 miscarriages, 6 failed inseminations. So my husband said, can you please stop acting? Because I was doing theater then.
Right.
And we had to go through IVF. So my husband is a police officer and I cannot sit still. So I decided that I am going to be a travel agent. Like, I'll figure out how to do it, whatever. So I did. And then, of course, I can't stay away from the entertainment industry. I had a show called Wedding Lane with Candy Cain. And Lauren, Pete, and Todd, I don't remember the name of the company that they had, but once the twins were one, I would go and do I'll do a destination wedding here. I'll do a fam there. I'll do whatever. I think I went on a fam when they, like a little after they were 1 year old, a familiarization trip, because I needed to sleep. And I ended up going, and I fell into destination weddings, and it grew from there. I mean, there was 1 year I went to Mexico like 14 times and Jamaica 7, wow. But they would just be little clips, like just for a weekend. And I had a lot of great clients. I made a decent amount of money, to subsidize, like paying for the twins and paying for whatever. And, I had cameras following me around. It was fun. And then I still have clients that'll come to me and be like, hey, do you still do travel? Yes, absolutely. What do you need? And then it doesn't take me very long, so I'll book their travel for them and whatever.
Right. And I mean, you've got over 25 years of just doing so many great things. And I think it was almost 20 years ago, might be 20 years ago, when you were editor-in-chief of Teen Trend magazine. So
yeah.
So talk about that, because again, I mean, you're in every aspect of every part of life that you could possibly be. I mean, writer, director, editor-in-chief of a magazine. I mean, so just talk about all the experiences, because I would say that that's the most fun about it, is everything you've been able to experience in your life.
So I wasn't just the editor-in-chief. I was the founder of Teen Trend, because I was tired of seeing these magazines for girls, especially, that were just too mature, and I'm the oldest of 9 cousins. My oldest cousin is 10 years younger than me, and he's a boy. So I was like, these are the influences on these kids. And I come from, I don't want to say like a very wholesome background, but it's, clean. It is wholesome. It is a wholesome background. Like I said, single mom. And it's okay for teenagers to not do drugs, to not smoke, to not drink, So I wanted to create something that would appeal to teenagers with those same values, because I think that morals and values get skewed quite a lot, especially now with social media. So I created that with the support of my mom, and, worked together and created Teen Trend. And it was, it was featured on like the Sean Hannity show. It was all over the place. It was, a lot of conservative people really liked it, because it was a wholesome magazine. It was just wholesome. We did a great prom edition, and then I ended up selling it after I had the twins. I couldn't handle it anymore.
Right. And I think this too, Candice, it has to be one of the highlights of your career, is being able to do a lot of work with your mother, because you talk about her. She's probably your biggest fan, if I had to guess. So being able to work with her, which sometimes can be tricky, because when you work with whether it's your sibling, your parent, whatever, I mean, there could be those moments where like you have to treat it as an employee per se. So, I mean, it has to be, though, rewarding that you've been able to work with her so closely these last 20 some odd years.
Yeah. My mom's my best friend. Like, she's really cool. The first time we were in the same project together outside of being in high school was a show called Anything Goes. I was the only high schooler that was in it. I was 17, and I played the role of Purity, and there were a whole bunch of other people in it. And my mom, she was doing the sets, and I just remember watching her, and she had people that, helped her, but she created this cruise ship on the stage, and it looked so cool. And I always bring it up, whenever anybody asks me, oh, your mom's, your production, and I'll be like, oh, you should have seen this cruise ship that she made on when we did Anything Goes. And that was like 93, you know? So my mom she's just incredibly talented. You know, she's so artistic. And I always say I'm not artistic. I draw mutant stick figures. And she's like, you are artistic. You're artistic with your words. So, you know, my husband and I bought the house that I grew up in where my mom was. So she came with the property. She lives with us. So, you know, I have a very, very, very close relationship with her. And she's so smart. And she just has this like, she's like a superpower. She has this vision because I'll describe to her and like do like a rudimentary stick drawing and be like, can you do it something like this? And she's like, yeah, sure, no problem. And then like 2 hours later, I walk into the room. She's like, what do you think? And I'm like, oh my God, she took the picture out of my head and put it in the room. You should, when you see Miss Mansion, she created the cookie nook. And
wow.
and I wish the movie was out now because she took this basement and this empty basement, and she used like wrapping paper and tablecloths and all this thing, and it looks like this cozy date, and it just phenomenal. We just watched Love in Storytown, which is released. It's on I heard it was on Up Faith and Family. It's on Amazon, and my mom was the production designer, and we walked out of it and we were like, literally the best part of that movie was the production design. It was so good. It was just so good. And she did a phenomenal job. So when I, you know, as for the whole employee part, I compartmentalize. So like, I'll say something and I'll be talking to somebody, and my mom, you know, she's my mom, no matter what, she's my mom. So she'll come up to me and she'll be talking to me like, oh, wait a second. She's like, don't you talk to me like that. And I'm like, and I'm like, oh my God, you know, it's funny, but she's, you know, I don't want people to think that my mom's doing it for me just because she's my mom. My mom's doing it because she's wicked talented, you know, like what she does, you have no idea. She's amazing. She's a man to do anything on a budget. She's incredible. Even with like interior design in our house, she's like, done. What do you think of this pillow? You know, she's amazing. So thank you for bringing her up. I appreciate that.
Yeah. We'll have to have her on because I think like, you know, it's very important to recognize her as well. So that'll be my next.
She's amazing. Yeah. I'll introduce you to her.
And
Candice, I don't know if she has makeup done. She's somewhere in the house, but
Candice, you know, you've been an owner of several different things, and currently you're also a CEO as well. You're the CEO of a film company. So talk about that a little bit, because again, I mean, this film company is tremendous. So give us a little background on it.
So Gemelli Films, I was tired of people, tired of waiting for permission from people. And in 2014, with Cain Casting, all the Cainiacs, we entered the Disability Film Challenge. Shout out to Nick Novicki, who runs it. And we did really, really well, you know, with making films in a park on video camera, on a iPhone, right? So a couple of months later, unfortunately, my husband went into a coma. They had to do a medically induced coma, and he was in a coma for 11 days. I was told no less than 3 times that he was going to die. And like 2014 for me was like everybody else's 2020. He was in the hospital and then followed by like rehab because his leg atrophied and everything for like 2.5 months. And then, you know, it was just like a lot of personal stuff that came through. And again, you have that whole life is too short. And I was tired of waiting for permission. And Gemelli means twins in Italian. So I named it after my kids, Charles and Catherine. Well, Catherine should come first because she's 2 minutes older. So Catherine and Charles. And somebody had asked me, do you have a full-length script? And I had my show, What Happened Last Night, that I did my fresh show. I was sophomore year in college, and it was adapted to a screenplay. So I got the funding for it, and all of a sudden, and you know, of course, my mom got behind me, but all of a sudden we had David Atunga, Amber Rose, Clayton Snyder, Takia, Crystal, Kima, all these people were jumping in like, oh my God, this is great, this is great, this is great. And we ended up making it and made a splash at the Cannes Film Festival, the Marché de Film, and sold it. And then Amazon was interested in a spin-off series. So we ended up doing the spin-off series. And unfortunately, on my 40th birthday, I shattered my ankle after we shot our pilot. So we got delayed a bit. I tripped over the sidewalk. It's not even a good story, in New York City, and it just shattered my ankle, broke it in 6 different places. Oh, and it was awful. Yeah, it was pretty bad. So I was like, all right, well, we'll raise money, but I didn't get it done in the time because things move like so fast. You have this? Yes. Or I'm in the process. Okay, if you're in the process, you need to deliver it like next month. That doesn't happen, especially on a series. So it's on Amazon. It's all over the place now, and life got breathed into it recently. And then right after that, somebody asked me to make a Christmas movie. And then I made Ivy and Mistletoe. And then somebody else asked me to make a Christmas movie. So then I made 2 more. And then I kept making more. And then COVID hit, so I got kind of backtracked for a couple of months. And then we started doing more. So being a female in this industry, it's difficult because it's not what have you done, it's what have you done lately. And if there's any sort of slowdown, with you get blamed. It doesn't matter what happened with funding. It doesn't matter what happened with an actor. It doesn't matter what happened. Since you're the head, you're to blame. And then you fall all the way back in line. So it's very frustrating. I'm actually part of the 1% of the National Academy of Television Arts and Sciences of women that are hyphenates of writer-director. So 7% are writers, 3% are directors, and only 1% are women. And I'm one of them. And, I was able to just submit for the Emmys, which is really cool. But it's hard. You have to keep going as a woman. Otherwise, you have to start over. And both are difficult, but I think it's more difficult to start over.
Right. And it seems like to me, though, Candice, you're never going to run away from a challenge. You don't do that. You're constantly trying to, it's almost like you said, what have you done for me lately? But you kind of say that to yourself to remind yourself that you got to keep doing things. And it's just been like a career that's been tremendous. It really has. And I'm, really looking forward to the Christmas movie that's coming out later in the year. But if you had to pinpoint one thing about your career that you're most thankful for, is there anything that does stand out?
What do you mean that I'm most thankful for?
Well, about all the success you've had. If you could just think of one thing that you're grateful for, has been rewarding for you, what would you say it's been?
I don't know if this is cheesy or if this counts, but I'm really grateful for the support of people around me who genuinely believe in me. Like you said before, my mom is my number 1 fan. She supports me no matter what. When I go down, she lifts me right back up, so I'm super, super, super grateful for that. And I also have people around me. Kristen Martino is my best friend, and outside of my mom, obviously. But she's also my insurance agent, Plug Alpha Insurance, but she does all of my insurance for me. And she comes to me in France and helps me sell my projects at MIPCOM. To Kevin Yee, who's my creative director, who's my director of photography. I'm really grateful for the people that keep coming back to work with me. You notice I say work with me, not for me, because, right. Donna McKenna is somebody else who I know has my back, Pat Patterson. And a lot of these people that lift me up are women. And I think that everybody knows that if I'm climbing up this ladder, I'm just going to stop for a second, loop my arm around it, and reach down and pick them up with me onto the same level. And then if I have to drag them with me, I will.
Right. I think that's a great answer. It's kind of like the answer I expected, because it seems like to me, you're not concerned only about yourself. You're concerned about the people that help make it work, things like that. And I have to believe, Candice, that you're going to keep going. I mean, the best is still yet to come, which is hard to believe because you've done so many great things. But
Thank you.
I really do think the best is still yet to come. And I look forward to seeing that. And I really thank you for giving me some time today, because I really applaud you and everything you do, because you do it the right way. It really is a team, and it's really people around you that make it work. And you understand that. So I really do applaud you for everything you do. And thank you for giving me a few minutes today.
Nope. Appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate it as well. And have to have you back on, and definitely have to have you and your mom one time. That'll be great as well.
Come here a sec. Let me see if she comes in. I don't know where she is.
Yeah.
Oh, here she comes. And she's like, no, she doesn't have lipstick on. So
Well, we'll definitely have her on, and we'll talk about what she's done, because listen, that's remarkable as well. And I really love the bond that you two have. So I think that's awesome. And thank you again for giving me a few minutes.
No problem. Thank you so much.
Thank you. There you have it, folks. That's the one and only Candice Cain. Tremendous person, tremendous writer, you name it. She's done everything: director, producer, actor. But it's her work ethic that stands out the most to me. She's always willing to challenge herself. She never rests on her laurels. She goes out there each and every day and tries to be the very best that she could be, and takes every advantage that life has to offer. And she is a credit to not only her parents, her children, but also to people everywhere in society, because she understands it and she does it the right way. For In the Spotlight, I'm Mike Candice saying good night, everyone.